We went to see the RMS Titanic expedition and received a massive amount of insight into the night of the tragic accident that cost approximately 1,500 people their lives. Upon arrival, we were all given a similar design ticket to the original. They all contained a real passenger name that was on that fatal voyage. After walking around and looking at so many photos, reading loads of facts about the Titanic before and after that tragic night, and even learning about some of the saddest stories and the most noblest of acts, we get to the end to find out whether we survived that horrific night or not. After this amazing experience, we both decided to look into the lives of the two passengers that we received a boarding pass of. First up is my passenger, Mr Augustus Henry Aldworth, who was born on November the 21st, 1876, in Hendred, Berkshire, England. A second-class passenger who boarded at Southampton on April the 10th, 1912. His ticket number was 248744. Shamefully, this was not the number shown on the ticket that I received at the event. The ticket I received was slightly different and ended in 31 and not 44 that is shown on the Titanic universe. Augustus Henry Aldworth was 35 at the time. He was an English chauffeur who accompanied his employer, the wealthy Carter family of Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Augustus was accompanying his employers on their return trip to America. Augustus was born into a farming family. His father, Boaz Aldworth, was born in 1839 and sadly passed away at the Cottage Hospital, Egham, Surrey, on the 15th of March 1899 at the age of 60, 13 years prior to the sinking of the HMS Titanic. His mother was born Mary Freewin in 1840, and she was originally from Oxfordshire. They got married in Henley-on-Thames in 1863. Mary survived Boaz and was left his entire estate after his passing. Sadly, there are no records of the precise cause of their passing in the historical Titanic biography records or the ancestry records. Augustus Henry Aldworth got married after his father's passing on the 12th of March 1907 to Eleanor Alice Byford at Jesus Church in Enfield, Middlesex. The April 1911 census captures the young family living in a three-room property at Quebec Mews, Marylebone, London. At the time of the Titanic voyage, Augustus had been married for 4 years, and his wife was 29 and was originally from Enfield, Middlesex, where they got married. At the time, they had a daughter called Alice Mary Aldworth, who was just 4 years old and was born in Marylebone, London. She was born on the 16th of October, 1907. Augustus grew up in a large household with 7 siblings in East Hendred, Berkshire, and was the second youngest. This is where all the children were raised until they moved to Reading. His siblings were Edith Eliza Aldworth, born in 1864, Mary Jane Aldworth, born in 1865, Walter Aldworth, born in 1868, Euphemia Elizabeth Aldworth, born in 1870, Naomi Freewin Aldworth, born in 1872, Ruth Janet Aldworth, born in 1875, and lastly his younger sister, Ethel Annie Freewin Aldworth, born in 1880. Sometime around the turn of the century, Augustus left the agricultural work behind and moved to London for a change of career to domestic services for wealthy families. By the year 1901, he had become a footman. A footman was a high-visibility, live-in male domestic servant with primary roles of serving meals, greeting guests at the door, and act as a status symbol for wealthy families. Because of the status of the families, the hiring standards often required them to be tall and handsome. As the motor car became more popular, Augustus trained to become a professional chauffeur, not knowing where his journey would take him in just over a decade. This choice led him to becoming a high-status employee for the ultra-wealthy William Ernest Carter family, who travelled to Europe in 1911 and brought Augustus into their service. The Carters bought a ticket for the HMS Titanic for their return passage to the United States in 1912. Augustus was bought a second-class ticket to join the Carters back home to care for their newly purchased 25-horsepower Renault town car, which was stored in the cargo hold and would now be sitting on the ocean bed. The Carter family were first-class passengers and they all survived the disaster, but unfortunately Augustus Henry Aldworth passed away in the disaster at the age of 35. His body sadly was never recovered and his final moments are unknown. Unfortunately, there are no first-hand survivor accounts of Augustus's precise actions, movements and conversations, but maritime historians have pieced together a clear picture of his role and general experience based on the testimonies of crew members, cargo records and his movements from the Carter family. First of all, we have the final drive. Augustus was the last person to drive the Carter family's new red 1913 Renault Type CB Coupe de Ville. He drove the family to the Southampton docks to board the Titanic before it was crated and hoisted onto the ship and stored on the ship's port side orlop deck cargo hold. Once on board the ship, due to being a domestic servant of a first-class family, he was placed into second class. His ticket cost £13, which in today's money is roughly between £1,500 and £1,900. Even though he slept in second class, he was permitted to go to first class during the day to receive instructions or attend to his employer. During the sinking of the HMS Titanic, once they hit the iceberg at 11:40 p.m. on the 14th of April, a very chaotic separation happened. The Carter family, along with their French-born maid Auguste Serplan and manservant Alexander Cairns, were berthed in first class, while Augustus was in second class. Alexander Cairns was a Scottish-born man who was William Carter's manservant. He also sadly didn't survive the disaster, and if he was ever recovered, he was never formally identified. Both the maid, Auguste Serplan, and manservant Alexander Cairns both had first-class tickets so they could be at hand for their duties. William Carter managed to safely escort his wife, 2 children and French maid Auguste Serplan to Lifeboat 4, a very noble act that nearly cost him his life. Later on, when the forward deck began to submerge, William Carter, along with the White Star Line managing director J. Bruce Ismay, finally stepped into collapsible Lifeboat C, which was one of the final boats to successfully be launched. Somewhat of Augustus Henry Aldworth has been immortalised indirectly. The Renault car that he was hired to care for and drive became the most famous cargo piece on the ship. It was famously fictionalised for the love scene of Jack and Rose in the 1997 James Cameron film Titanic. It was the car that they based their love scene on with the iconic handprint. After the sinking of the HMS Titanic and the loss of the car, William Carter filed a $5,000 insurance claim with Lloyd's of London. $5,000 was equivalent to approximately $171,000 in today's money. Augustus Henry Aldworth was 35 years old when he passed. If his body was ever pulled from the freezing Atlantic by recovery ships, it was never formally identified. His name is memorialised alongside all of the other victims of the disaster. It was a tragic loss made sadder by the lack of information of his movements, possible heroic deeds, and was hopefully as peaceful as possible to an ending to a most tragic accident. This is it for my passenger who sadly passed away on the 15th of April 1912. Gone but not forgotten. Augustus Henry Aldworth, along with all of the other 1,500 plus passengers and crew who lost their lives on that fateful morning, are all listed on the Titanic Memorial Garden at Belfast City Hall, and is the only monument globally to list all of the victims that passed away that day. Join us for part 2, where we will take a deep dive into Cat's second-class passenger life, experience and fate. Will he beat the odds as a second-class passenger, or will he sadly join Mr Augustus Henry Aldworth and be part of the 1,500 plus passengers and crew who tragically passed away?